about the time we faced two.
All right. Well, as I remember.
At Avenger headquarters.
Because united, the Avengers are strong.
Welcome to the Marvel Evolution show with myself, Jarian Gibson.
And I'm Alex Stroud.
And I'm Jimmy Smith.
Andy should be here shortly. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and get started. I hope that echo is not coming through on the live stream.
It looks like it is.
Well, now it's gone. Is it Jamie causing the echo? Because when Jamie dropped, the echo stopped. Let me fix Jamie again. So hide this one, show this one. Hey, Jamie, the echo is you.
It's me.
Yeah.
What have I done?
Because when you dropped, the echo went away.
Don't know what it could be.
So it's oh, and there's Andy. What up, Andy?
What up, Andy?
How we doing? All right? Oh, there's an echo.
Yeah, it's Jamie's audio. Okay, is it still there? See, when I muted him, it's gone. I just muted him, and now the echo's gone. So it's something with Jamie's audio.
Give me a minute. I'll find different headphones.
Okay. I'm gonna mute you in the meantime.
Okay.
So welcome, Andy. I've already done the intro. I've already kicked this off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're live. I did not talk about the topic yet. So do you want to go ahead and kick it off while Jamie's working on his audio?
Yeah. So, hi guys. How we doing? It seems like forever.
Long time no talk.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. How are you, Alex? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I actually got an Eddie Funko today, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I got to pre-order one of those from Stranger Things. So
Superb. There's do you know what? I was in my local pop shop yesterday, and there was the Demigorgon in there, and it was £25. I was like, wow, why are these so expensive now? But obviously, that cost of living goes up, so I get.
it must have been that big one too.
Yeah, it was bigger. I wouldn't say it wasn't massive. It was the like the next size up, but I don't know. It just seemed expensive to me. But never mind. Good. Glad to have you back, Jamie. Go on, say something and see if you're still echoing.
I hope I'm not still echoing.
No, it's not
Change your
echoing.
headphones. Yeah, it must have just been the headphones.
Yeah, it was only echoing when we were talking, so I muted him and we're good to go. So
Excellent.
audio's good.
Good stuff.
Cool.
We're here. So we're here, and we're going to be talking about all of those big live action San Diego Comic-Con Marvel announcements. There's loads to get through. So let's crack on. Let's just hit this one. Let's go.
All right. So we are going to talk about the live action panel. So if you're interested in the animation one, that was yesterday on the second half of that show. That'll be uploaded here probably soon because that one's all ready to go. But you can catch it on the page or in the group or on Twitch replay or YouTube, I think now already. But let's talk about Saturday's live action panel. So Kevin Feige came out and the live action panel kicked off with a sizzle reel featuring narration from Stan Lee. So that was pretty cool how they kicked things off. And the first big announcement was that Phase 4 will end with Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And She-Hulk, so Phase 5 will kick off with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, followed by Secret Invasion. Now, with that being said, they did show some timelines, but it sounds like animation and specials were not in the timelines that we saw, because if Wakanda Forever is ending Phase 4, and Guardians is in December, but Phase 5 doesn't start until January with Ant-Man and the Wasp. So are they not counting animation and holiday specials? Because they didn't even show What If or any of the animation stuff in the phases for Phase 5 or when they tease Phase 6. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Maybe those specials are like comic one-shots almost. Like they're just, like it's sort of part of the phase, but it's not really like integral to the story, maybe. Like I Am Groot,
There's a Star Wars special years and years ago that's not considered canon.
Yeah, it's similar
That
to
was a
that.
holiday special.
We say that though. How James Gunn has come out on several occasions and said about how important the Guardians holiday special is going to be, and it's going to introduce new characters and things like that. So, as much as I think I half agree with what you just said, Alex, and then half disagree. Like you kind of said, like maybe they're not necessarily considered as part of the phase necessarily, but I think they'll be important, especially things like that. You know, Werewolf by Night wasn't up there. We know that that's coming as well. So. I don't know. Maybe they're just not. Maybe they're just simply including the main shows and the movies in those timelines, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But yeah, you're spot on. He did come out and say that about that's going to be integral to Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that you know, if you watch What If, for example, let's take What If. I think What If, I wouldn't say it was necessarily integral to the Phase 4 story, but I think it's important to watch season 1 of What If when we watched it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so within that time of watching those other movies, I think that's where it sits. And I think, by the sounds of it, season 2 is going to do the same. The Guardians holiday special is going to do the same. So I think they might not officially be part of the phase, but I think if you're going to watch them, that's where you would include them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Roxy has a good point here. I think we'll see at D23, which I'm sure it will, because a lot of the streaming stuff was kind of left out. Werewolf by Night wasn't mentioned. Armor Ward wasn't mentioned. They did mention some Disney Plus stuff, but I think a lot that's going to be saved for D23.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of things too, like speculated things too as well, which I'll pull up this thing. I put a poll in the group about things that we didn't see, especially when it comes to Phase 6, because there's empty slots there, which I think we'll find out D23. You know, some of those things could be Shang-Chi 2, a Nova Project, Armor Wars. We know Wonder Man's coming. The Deadpool project we know is happening. Young Avengers could be one. We know that World War Hulk was one that was mentioned before. We know something's going to happen with Eternals, whether they're going to be a sequel or they're going to show up in another movie. You know, Kingo keeps popping up in other projects. At least his name and pictures of him keep popping up. We also know too, there's a Man Thing special coming. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got one that I think would be a really cool Disney Plus show, and that would be the Future Foundation.
Yep. I
think that would be a really cool show, especially, and I think that would fit in quite nicely in between the two Avengers movies.
Yep. And
for obvious reasons for Secret Wars.
Yeah. And then speaking of Secret Wars, we had the conversation today. X-Men Mutants, you know, we didn't hear anything about them. So are they coming? We know that Phase 6 is going to still, I'll get through all the announcements here shortly, but
yeah.
We know that Phase 6 is going to kick off with Fantastic Four. So are they going to have mutants during Phase 6, or is that going to be like Phase 7? They're going to start focusing on mutants because Phase 6 sounds like it's going to be all about Fantastic Four. And then you got other things too. We know there's set up for Doctor Strange 3. I mentioned the mutants. There could be an Olympians one. We have Hercules coming. We saw Zeus. Ghost Rider's been talked about. Doc Hawk's been talked about. We have Squirrel Girl. Kazar as well. We know Kevin Feige is a huge Savage Land fan. So that could happen as well. So yeah, I'm interested to see how those line up when we get to D23 as it comes to Phase 6. But back to Phase 5, Secret Invasion will premiere in spring 2023 on Disney Plus. So that was the big one there. Colby Smulders did come out to take the stage to discuss it. She said it's an exciting thriller. You're never going to know who people are. Are they a Skrull? She also revealed that they will explore more of Nick Fury's and Maria Hill's relationship behind the scenes in the show. Other piece of that is that we know that War Machine will be in Secret Invasion. We still don't know who Roger Jean Page will be in Secret Invasion. And also was told that in the show, Nick Fury will return to Earth to investigate Skrull invasion after avoiding Earth and Maria Hill for many years. So
I think the timing, the release of that is really interesting that they've said about that spring release, because obviously it's going to pretty much back straight onto the Marvels. So I think that's a really interesting release. I mean, there's going to be 6 episodes. So spring, let's say it's going to be March, you know, There's only going to be a small gap between that and the Marvels, so I think that it will be the Marvels will almost be almost a direct sequel, I reckon, to that.
Mhm.
Which I think that's kind of interesting too, because we got the Skrulls in Carol's first movie, so it's kind of like we're kind of taking Secret Invasion and kind of looping back around almost, kind of in a way.
Yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, I'm a big fan of all the sort of. She said it was a thriller, Jarian. Did she use that word?
Yep, a thriller. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm a big fan of that thriller, sort of spy, espionage, that whole thing. So I'm hoping that this is going to follow along those lines. I'm hoping it's not going to be too silly. Do you know what I mean? I think it could risk being a bit silly.
It should be more like a psychological thriller, kind of in that aspect of where like you kind of get your brain kind of flipped in some ways on this whole show.
Yeah,
Got that dark humor in there a little bit, but as you said, nothing too silly, no slapstick sort of cheap laughs, more the dark humor, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know a lot of people don't rate Captain Marvel the movie, but it did start. You could, and this, I don't want to get into that now, but some of the Skrull humor did start going that way, didn't it? And and then again in Far From Home, it started. You could tell, you could just sense that there was this little kind of just be careful about where you go with that humor, like you say, away from that slapstick, goofy, silly humor. And more into sort of, that sort of, it can still be funny. So it can't be funny, but it needs to be managed properly, I think.
So I have some more Phase 5 stuff, and I'll just go through these, and then I have notes on the actual panels, because they actually reveal all of Phase 5 first, and then they went into the individual stuff, so I kind of skipped down to talk about Secret Invasion, but I'll get back to the timeline here. So Guardians got a new logo, and it will premiere May 2023. Echo will stream summer 2023. Loki season 2 summer 2023 also. Ironheart fall 2023. Agatha House of Harkness was renamed to Agatha Coven of Chaos winter 2023, and that's going to start filming early next year. This is an interesting one. So Captain America 4 is New World Order, which will be May 3rd, 2024. And Andy, you called that one spot on with that for the Captain America date. Daredevil Born Again. Daredevil series here. Born Again. So it almost sounds like they're rebooting them, whatever. Spring of 2024. The series stars Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio. 18 episodes. 18 episodes. You heard me right, because I saw that that head nod, Andy, that look when I said that. So 18 episodes. I can see this though. There's been some chatter that's gonna be broken up. I could see like in 3 parts, because 18 episodes straight is a long haul. So that could be like part 1, 2, and 3 possibly in 6 episode chunks.
I wonder why they've done that. That's just seems really strange, doesn't it?
Yeah, unless scheduling maybe.
Maybe it's that Save the Daredevil campaign.
Yeah.
Seems maybe short episodes, which is worrying me.
Yeah, maybe they're like She-Hulk. Maybe they're really short, like 20 minutes or something like that. Or
speaking of that link, let's just speak about that link now. I mean, I know we'll probably cut back to the She-Hulk trailer, but obviously, we're talking about Daredevil. We saw Daredevil turn up in that She-Hulk trailer, new suit, splashes of yellow. Do you know what? I know I don't want to keep saying this. I'm going to sound like a broken record. I mean, obviously, the She-Hulk trailer looks great, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the whole nature of that program looks a little bit, does look a little bit slapstick, actually. And there's a bit of humor in there, which is good. I'm looking forward to it. But that's probably not going to suit Daredevil Born Again. And with Daredevil showing up in She-Hulk, I'm like, I wonder what kind of attitude and personality he's going to be displaying there, whether that's going to reverberate into Daredevil, like the show. Again, I mean, that one can't really be funny, can it? Surely, Born Again. It doesn't need to be funny, does it?
Yeah. So we'll see. And there's also rumors too that we'll get some clues about Jessica Jones' return in She-Hulk also.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
I kind of feel like a lot of that humor for She-Hulk will probably be a lot of those fourth wall breaks that are coming. Like that, like, wait, haven't I seen this guy kind of probably before or something? If you see Charlie Cox take off his mask or something, like maybe that kind of humor. I hope they really don't like go too hard into the humor with Matt Murdock, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, in the She-Hulk program, I can't wait. I think it's going to be funny. It looks quite good. That kind of almost like a sitcom type of feel to it. And I think if you go in looking for that, you'll find that, and it'll suit.
I think the funniest thing Matt Murdock's ever said is when he steals Jessica Jones' scarf and she tells him you look like an idiot, and he's like, "Well, it's your scarf." And he wraps it around.
That's the funniest thing he's ever said.
Yeah.
In my dates, did I mention the Blade premiere date?
No, you missed that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Blade will premiere on November 3rd, 2023, which
and
I
you
called
called that
one. Yeah.
We're getting good. We've called up over the last few weeks.
And then closing out Phase 5 will be Thunderbolts project for July 6, 2024. A couple of things here. I've also heard today that Thunderbolts will also introduce some new heroes. Or not new heroes, new characters. So,
well, Feige did say, didn't he, when he introduced the Thunderbolts series with the logo, he did say, "Oh, we're not going to announce the cast today. There'll be plenty of time for that." He made a very specific point about saying who the cast for Thunderbolts will be, and that's got to be at D23. He's surely going to give us a bit of a lineup, a Thunderbolts lineup. He'll probably bring out Dreyfus and
Blocker.
Yes, yeah. I was trying to think. What's his actual name?
Wyatt.
Wyatt.
Yeah, Wyatt Russell.
Yeah. Bring out Wyatt Russell and bring out a few other people that are going to be on that team at D23. That'd be quite interesting to see who's on that team. Who do we think's on that team? Anybody listening? Who's on the Thunderbolts team? Come on, tell us.
They could always put Sentry on there.
Roxy trying to get me going here. She says, "I hope we don't get the same Taskmaster." Me too, Roxy. Me too.
Roxy, don't start him off, for God's sake.
No, I'll throw a team out there. I could see probably Abomination, Yelena, Walker, U.S. Agent. I could, I hope they do Red Hulk. And I know with William Hurt passing away, and we're not going to have the General. Alex and I have always said this, that we want to, it could be an off-screen transformation and just have Red Hulk there. They could also throw Betty back into the mix as Red She-Hulk. Yep, Roxy, as I say that next, Zemo could be on the team. I'm hoping we get an actual proper Tony Masters as Taskmaster.
It seems like Yelena will probably be on the team because she's working with Val, possibly.
But after that, I'm not sure who else. Are they going to pull anybody back from the old Hydra days? What's that, Jamie?
Ghost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ghost. Sorry.
Ghost,
Ghost, definitely. But are they going to pull any other Hydra people out from back in the day, maybe? Are we going to see what happened with the leader, possibly, from Incredible Hulk? I'm trying to think where else they could go with this. I mean, the leader could replace Red Hulk, too, as well. They didn't want to do Red Hulk at this time.
So I think that's maybe why he's waiting, because D23 will be after She-Hulk's finished, or will it?
During.
I was thinking maybe something happens at the end of She-Hulk that might give us a better idea, and that's maybe why he's holding off a bit.
I mean, I think with the Abomination thing, I keep circling back to the She-Hulk trailer, but it looks like Wong. He's going to.
Oh yeah.
It looks like Wong's going to approach Jennifer Walters to try and get Abomination let off the hook. It looks like that's what's happening, because then she obviously then says, "Oh, I'm not sure I can take this case on because obviously he tried to kill my cousin." But she's obviously it looks like she's trying to get him, acquitted of his crimes so that he can then go and carry on working for Wong, or maybe working for Val, obviously afterwards. But yeah, that looks like what's happening there. I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball just because I liked him in all of the Thunderbolt stuff that I've read. Thunderbolts is happening 26th of July, 2024. Daredevil Born Again is going to be happening in the spring 2024. 18 episodes. It will be done by the time that Thunderbolts happens. Could we see Bullseye?
Possibly. We could see, or even Hawkeye as part of the Thunderbolts, possibly.
Yeah. I really like Bullseye in the Thunderbolts team, because even they thought he was a lunatic.
Mental.
Could we end up maybe seeing the Thunderbolts develop into more of like a Dark Avengers team in the MCU? I
We
mean,
could.
kind of like, see, I know they're not, obviously the same, but they could kind of evolve into something like that at some point.
And here's a good question from the chat: are we going to see Red Guardian again? Which we could. He could be like a mentor type to them, or someone they go to, or that kind of stuff, because he's still out there after the end of Black Widow. So and so is Iron Maiden, the original Iron.
Yeah.
But Rachel Weisz's character's still out there too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so we're a lot of former widows also too. So there could be other people that get different titles or change the roles based on their former things they've done, whether it's past Shield, Hydra, or even Black Widows.
Cool.
Where
did you get to in that timeline, Jory?
Phase 5's done. So Phase 5 is already done.
Hold on, let's talk about Captain America. What could happen in that?
So I have a thought here. So Falcon the Winter Soldier, we kind of had that new committee type of people in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I was mentioned this earlier, I think Jamie and Alex, about where Moon Knight could appear in this phase, because nothing so far spells out Moon Knight, but New World Order to me thinks of almost a committee type thing. The same thing with Daredevil, because it sounds like Fisk is going to be the mayor or governor, I think mayor of New York or something he's running for. And what if he could be starting some kind of shadow committee, or Sharon Carter could be some kind of shadow committee, and that's how we get Moon Knight, whether it's in New World Order or in Daredevil, or possibly both. So that could be an opportunity to cross Moon Knight over into more of the street level type stuff that he's been seen in.
I mean, I'm looking at that, and obviously Blade. Moon Knight could appear in Blade, and he could appear in, and I would have said Daredevil as well. And I know that you said the other day, Jaren, about maybe not seeing Spider-Man again until Secret Wars.
I have a comment about that.
Okay, was it that he might appear in Daredevil? Because that would be wicked.
Yes. So in my notes here, Kevin Feige did state that
it kind of makes sense. Obviously, we saw Daredevil in No Way Home.
Yeah. What did he say? Hold on, that was further down in my notes. I got to find it real quick.
Well, while you're looking, I think that makes a lot of sense. Peter would want to, would probably sense that there was something up with Matt, and he may want to go and find him and support him. Even if it's just a cameo, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, Kevin Feige on Spider-Man at San Diego Comic-Con. We got supernatural angles. We've got the street level with our announcement of Daredevil. And of course, Spidey going into street level hero. So there you go. We could see him pop up in the 18 series, whether it's Holland or just someone in the mask, but seeing that team up and possibly a confrontation with Fisk, maybe even.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be really cool. Seeing a nice little team up in Born Again at some point between between those street level guys. Whether Moon Knight shows up, whether Spidey shows up, Daredevil, anybody else that's going to be
Jessica Jones.
Yeah, I was just about to say Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. Yeah, no, interesting. I think that'd be fun to. I think I'm really looking forward to those 3 projects at the end of Phase 5. Actually.
So before I get to Phase 6, I do have some notes about Quantumania from that panel.
Oh, go on.
Because they were there, because the Quantumania cast was there. And so Peyton Reed took the stage. So he said that they'll spend a vast amount of time in the quantum realm for the movie. Scott Lang said he was happy with himself for having saved the universe and started the movie. Kang says to him, "You're an Avenger. Have I killed you before?" And there was a line where Scott's like, "I'm an Avenger," and Kang says, "I'm a conqueror," back to him. So there was cool like that. He showed up as King the Conqueror. They will feature MODOK as the villain. So MODOK is the main villain, with Kang being a major threat, it sounds like. And Bill Murray is confirmed as Krylar, who sounds like he'll be going back and forth with MODOK or Kang in this film. So,
and who's playing MODOK?
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
The rumor is Corey Stroll, who played Yellow Jacket in the first Phase Man.
And he got sucked into the quantum realm, did he not?
Yep. So
Yeah,
that complained to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we looking at? Cross turning into MODOK, or just Corey Stroll playing MODOK as well?
But yeah,
Surely
that's a good
that's
question.
'Cause, I mean, well, look at what we've seen. We've seen the giant Yellow Jacket helmet in Loki. If you
Mhm.
look back at when
the
he
void.
was
Yeah.
shrunk down,
point.
when he was shrunk down, the last thing of him to shrink was his head. I think
Yep.
legs, arms, body, head.
Yeah,
That's a
so
great
maybe
point
his head
because-
didn't
Yep.
transfer right.
If that's coincidence, that's amazing. And if that's planning, that's even better.
Mhm.
The next part of things, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So they were there as well. The whole cast and crew there. James Gunn was there. They did show footage for both Ant-Man, Secret Invasion, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but they're not released out there yet. So they're not VFX completed. James Gunn even took to Twitter today saying, I would love to release it, but it's not quite there yet for a trailer. So they'll get there soon. But he did say, this is the end of that story. Some stories have an end. It doesn't mean that everyone dies. And it looks like from the description of the footage, we do see Rocket as a child, baby Rocket. Chadwick Ouija, who was in Peacemaker, he is confirmed to be High Evolutionary. He actually came out in costume as the High Evolutionary. When they showed the trailer, they also showed Gamora's return, the footage, and Adam Warlock as well. We did find out who Mariga Bakalova is confirmed to be playing. She's the one that played Borat's daughter in the sequel. She came onto the cast late, and like I said, she probably was a voice or voice in credits person. Guess what? She will be Cosmo. She is voicing Cosmo in the movie.
That's going to be really interesting. I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah,
No.
neither did I.
Even though it's right there in front of you, because she's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking Lila or somebody else or post credits set something else up, but nope, Cosmo. So
Yeah. I was kind of hoping that because there was another girl around about the same age cast as well, wasn't there? And I was kind of hoping that they was cast as Moondragon and Fila Vel.
yeah. Which we still have the actress that plays Ratcatcher and the other actress still, so who knows?
Yeah.
Post credit or something else, or maybe
James Gunn's wife could be in it. Her that was in Peacemaker as well.
Yep.
She could possibly still show up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Do you know what? There's so much interesting stuff that's about to happen, isn't there? There really is.
Mhm.
This is really going to blow the whole door wide open. I think on the Marvel universe. We've seen this much of a universe that's this big.
Mhm. That's still expanding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to talk about Wakanda forever yet. That's going to be saved for the last part of this because I'll tell you how Kevin Feige did this too as well. Actually, we had a question here. Will mutants be a product of High Evolutionary? Will Rocket be revealed as from Earth? Or will High Evolutionary be not from Earth? That's a good question. I don't know. It's been rumored that High Evolutionary will be the reason for Rocket's creation the way he is, from what I've heard, but that's the only thing I've heard rumor-wise about High Evolutionary's role. And I also heard that he's probably one of the villains in this film.
I don't know much about High Evolutionary, but I do know that he had his finger in pretty much every single pie that was ever been made.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, I mean, the answer is he could be, and he might not be, and he probably is.
Yeah.
After that, they went on to Phase. Everyone was blown. First of all, everyone was blown away. They showed Phase 5 and all this stuff, right? Everyone's like, that can't, that's got to be it. They got D23 coming up. They're not going to show more. Well, Kevin Feige said, you know what? Let's do Phase 6. So they went into Phase 6, and Phase 6 will start with Fantastic Four, which will premiere on November 8th, 2024. They also announced 2 Avengers films as part of Phase 6 in the same year. Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, which will be May 2nd, 2025. I called the title, but I said it would be a 3-part, so I was wrong on that. But then they also called Secret Wars on November 7th, 2025. Kevin Feige officially said that the multiverse saga will take place between phases 4 to 6. So, which makes me wonder, Tony Stark was the phase of the Infinity Saga, and now it seems like Doctor Strange is the face of the multiverse saga. Are we going to see the death of Doctor Strange comic book arc on screen? Because we saw how the Infinity Saga ended.
Yeah, I think that was a good. out from you actually the other day. I did see you say that, and I thought that was a good shout. I mean, that gives him another 2 or 3 years of playing Doctor Strange, and he would have done it for a long time. And
Yep.
He's a big actor, isn't he? Oh, Benedict, he probably wants to try other things.
And
he's not Sorcerer Supreme anymore either. So
Wong
you
is.
know, like yeah, so like they don't really have to have him as Sorcerer Supreme because we've seen him now for a while, not as Sorcerer Supreme. So
Also-
Go on, Joe.
No, I was gonna say I'm gonna talk about the rest of Phase 6 dates, but unless you're still on. Talk
Oh,
about that all
okay.
the way.
Yeah. I said it yesterday. I said I loved a good noise, and I love a good noise. That intro to the Kang Dynasty was brilliant. It's so menacing. It was so menacing, and I just love that sound. I've been listening to that over and over again. Just that little. I wish they'd like release it, properly, like just a little clip, because all I'm listening to is everyone screaming over the top of it as well. So it was really cool. I really loved how they did that. And then it just sort of morphed again into the Secret Wars logo, and I thought that was excellent. I really like that. Really like that noise, and it had that. I don't know what it was. It just really got me going.
And speaking of, since you're talking about the Kang Dynasty, speaking of that, Kevin Feige has come out and said that Kang is the big bad of the multiverse saga. Question here from the chat: are they going to make America be the next sorcerer then? I don't know. Looks like Wong is going to be the next sorcerer. I do know in the Death of Doctor Strange story arc, Clea becomes the next Sorcerer Supreme. And since we saw that post credits in Mom, Multiverse of Madness, with Clea taking Strange off to the Dark Dimension, which I think that's the third film, with Doctor Strange in the Dark Dimension, they could set up for her to be the next Sorcerer Supreme, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether America will end up being a sorcerer. I'm not too sure of a comic story arc. Really, I don't know whether that happens in the comics. Does it?
No, she's more of a young Avenger. More in that lines. She even is friends with Miss Marvel. If they do like the New Warriors, I think, with Squirrel Girl, and all that kind of stuff. She's part of that too. They're all kind of together, so they could go one of those routes with them.
And speaking of Young Avengers, I know you're going to talk about those added dates in Phase 6. I reckon.
Yes, that's next.
Young Avengers in there.
Yep. So they're actually, as of Saturday, there were 8 unannounced dates in Phase 6. But it looks like they added one. So they added a February 14th, 2025 untitled Marvel film. July 25th, 2025 untitled Marvel film. But then they also have 2 for fall of 2024, 1 in winter of 2024, 1 in winter of 2025, 2 in spring of 2025, and 2 in summer of 2025. Also today, this is breaking news today, there's 4 Phase 7 films dates that were released today. February 13th, 2026, May 1st, 2026, July 4th, 2026, November 6th, 2026, Phase 7. And that's where I think we're probably going to go X-Men Mutants in Phase 7. If, I think Phase 6 is too compressed to do that. You have 2 Avengers movies. We saw how hard it was to do Infinity War and Endgame like that. They're going to have all their I's dotted and their T's crossed to do 2 Avengers films in the same year.
So could the reason that we're not getting mutants right away is because when they basically have the multiverse saga close, they're going to basically push everything into one main timeline and story and then bring the mutants in,
They could do that, yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that could we end up getting the 838 mutants coming over for revenge against Wanda for killing Charles?
Yeah.
And that's what might cause. Could that cause the final incursion that causes the Secret Wars? Could that be the last incursion?
It could be
the one that causes Battleworld to be formed.
Let me see. Yep, coming from the chat here, X-Men and multiverse would be too much at once, which I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, but if they do it through the end of Secret Wars, would that not just kind of the reveal of Kamala being a mutant be kind of pointless?
Yeah, that too. That's a good point. I didn't think about that one. So we could get some part of them. We could get a couple more mutants, but for them to go full X-Men or full mutants, in that phase might be a bit a stretch.
Well, they could introduce mutants in a Secret Wars event, pull them from another multiverse, and then afterwards be like, now you're getting your first X-Men film. and then go into that manner if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to a couple of news things that came out about Comic-Con before we get to Wakanda Forever, because I want to talk about the trailer too and some other things there. But Alex will like this one. Kevin Feige on Ryan Gosling wanting to play Ghost Rider. Feige said Gosling is unbelievable. Ryan is amazing. I'd love to find a place for him in the MCU. So there you go on that one.
It's not Ghost Rider though, is it? Surely.
Probably not. I could see Nova maybe, or
Yeah, I can see Nova maybe, but
yeah.
I've made that joke that he could play Danny Ketch, but I don't want it to happen, man. Like, you know,
Please
let's be
don't.
honest. Yeah. No, but would probably be decent for him though.
Yeah, I actually liked him in that movie with Russell Crowe. Where was the other guy? Not the other guys, but he's like a detective, and Russell Crowe's like a cop or something. I don't know, that movie they had together. I actually liked him in that film, so I could see him playing like a Nova, or maybe.
I could see him playing Nova. If you look at the Nova Corps in Guardians, I think he'd fit right in.
Yep.
I think his demeanor would fit right into that kind of. He could probably put off that sort of slightly arrogant type of demeanor, couldn't he? That they had.
Roxy's not
especially like Pete. What's his name? Pete Shadow Winovitz. Because he's in Guardians 1. He's one of the Nova Corps.
Yes. Yeah. No, they all
I could also
air about him.
I could also see them if they're probably going to redo the Guardians team as we know it. So he could be whatever new Guardians character is, because I think he would fit in that kind of role too. Whether it is Nova on a new Guardians team or somebody else they bring in to fill the new Guardians team.
Wasn't Jack of Hearts on the Guardians at one point?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I think he could play a good Jack of Hearts. That's all I was going to say. Anyway, carry on.
Some of the chat here. So thinking out loud about actors.
This is Monty.
Okay. A big name like Gosling, those types usually don't become lasting fixtures in the newer days of Marvel. So
Yeah.
I can see him. And with that being said, that's a good point, Monty. So I could see it probably more of a cameo role in that sense then, or something short term, not something long term.
I think it would be kind of interesting to put him like as what is his name, Guardian, as the head of Alpha Flight or something like that. You know, that would be just a huge swerve, because Alpha Flight's not really like somebody that's well known. So you bring a name like Ryan Gosling to it, you know, boom.
Or one of the guys from Squadron Supreme, who's the not Hyperion, the guy that leads it, the other guy. He's like a hawk dude, or not. I can't think of his name. Anyway, I'll think of it later. I think this is Monty too as well. Like, I don't think Charlize Theron will be in the MCU very long. I hope not. Anyway, sorry, I'm not a fan of that casting. That's clear, but you know, I could be proven wrong. Kevin Feige also talked about X-Men. There was a joke about X-Men being introduced in Phase 10, and Kevin Feige said, "You want to wait until Phase 10 for X-Men, right?" And he goes, "All right, that's longer than I want to wait, but I guess I'll follow your lead, sir." When someone asked about that.
It doesn't fit. It sounds like a long way away, but I mean, you know what they've announced up to 6.
Actually, through 7 now. We have dates for 7.
Yeah, for 7, if they've announced dates for 7, yeah, that's it. I mean, it is still a long way away though. There's got to be the natural progression, hasn't it? They've got to be the natural progression after this multiverse thing.
Like sprinkle a couple more in, but then go full on.
Yeah.
Phase 7.
Yeah.
So they also talked about post credits, especially the impact on the multiverse saga building to Avengers movie. This is Kevin Feige also. The truth is, all of the tags are never just about the future. There are tags that are eating shawarma, Captain saying, you know, you got to learn patience. Sometimes, you know, you wait for something that's not worth it. So they're always fun for us. We don't want everything to feel the same. So some of the tags will connect and some of them won't. Some of the films and shows will connect and some of them won't. I think this sounds like he's talking about Moon Knight, which says some of them won't. I think it's just as important that we can have standalone introductory stories like Miss Marvel, like Moon Knight, in addition to things that interconnect and build towards a larger story. A lot of what we've been doing has been building to this larger story. Obviously, with the Kang Dynasty and the multiverse saga, now I think people will, I hope, come along for the ride. Both where it's you're on the express train to the finale, and when it's fun, as many of our phase 1, 2, and 3 films were. So he did call out Moon Knight there too as well, which we have not seen the connection yet. And I'm hoping we get something through Captain America or through the Daredevil for that. But yeah, so
They need to make more Moon Knight connections in the MCU. They have to establish them.
Yep.
They're there as well. There's plenty there.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got a ton from Miss Marvel. I mean, we got the post credit scene, but we got some smaller subtitle ones with Moon Knight, but nothing major.
Mhm.
And like I said,
Yeah.
street level, they can make them. They could even go with Blade, which I think Blade probably we're gonna get more Black Knight is in the Blade movie probably. I could see that happening. But there are ways they could bring Moon Knight in pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Going on back onto the post credit scene, so I think we spoke about that a little while ago. They made every one so that the mid credit scene was the sort of important one, or the one with more substance, and then the last one was a joke. They don't want to make it too formulaic, otherwise people will end up,
I'm not going to wait for this one.
they'll
Yeah.
skip.
No point.
They'll skip it. So I think that they do need to keep mixing things up, and they do need to keep throwing some little comedic moments in there, but then they also need to throw something in there that's actually quite important. I mean, I still like the idea that we sort of mentioned a little while ago that maybe there should be a post-credit sequence that's kind of sort of 4 or 5 minutes long, and it kind of
Like a montage.
yeah, like an epilogue. You read a comic, don't you? You read a book, and then at the end you've got 2 pages or a page or something like that. That's just a slight. It's got kind of connections to it, but it hasn't. But there's more to it than just a picture, like one line, And I think like an epilogue to the movie would be, or the show would be good.
You know what they could do is they could do. I'm not sure how hard this will play into, but they could do like that they have the Marvel Studios intro that shows current, new characters, past characters, etc. They could do an outro with the Marvel Studios logo teasing new characters.
Mm.
They don't have to say anything, just have the music and change all the characters out for ones that they plan on having come forward, like in the short term that we know about. Like we could see Thunderbolts in there. We could see, people from Black Panther Wakanda Forever. We could see Fantastic Four once we know the cast is out. We could see that kind of stuff as an outro with the Marvel Studios look. I don't know.
Yeah.
A comment here. This is kind of annoying to say on his part. Like if they want to do post-credit tags that are meaningless, fine, but they need to be obviously meaningless. What do you guys think? Which I agree. Like for example, Multiverse of Madness, the Bruce Campbell one, that was meaningless.
Yeah.
Papa. That one was meaningless, right? But are they gonna capitalize on what they should with Charlize Theron and the Dark Dimension type thing, or is that just gonna be one of those ones that's a throwaway post-credit scene? So yeah, or like
I think that's probably quite. I think that's probably quite important, but. I think a good one talking about is it not obviously meaningless is the very end credit scene in Love and Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Like okay, that's Jane in Valhalla with Heimdall, and you're like, does that really? I don't know. Is it important or is it not? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was like, well, I don't know. They might go somewhere, they might not, and I mean, I don't know. I quite like
I
it.
think it kind of closes the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought so too. I thought that was a good way to close the door once they do like some kind of Valhalla thing.
Yeah.
That's how we get Baldur the Brave finally in the MCU. I don't know. But here's another apply that like don't show Mac Gargan. They never put him in the MCU, which is true. They teased him, but we never saw anything from that. Like, are we going to see him in the Sony universe? Are we going to see him in Daredevil as a street level person? What's going to happen here with that?
I think there's always going to be loose ends, though. There's always loose ends. I mean, you probably couldn't count on all of our hands how many loose ends there are at the moment from the MCU from ever. There are so many, and I think there always is going to be. But it's that again. That's the same when you read a book. There's not everything plays out all the time.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Wakanda Forever. Spend the rest of the time talking about that. So it was kind of cool the way that Kevin Feige introduced the panel for Black Panther. So we talked about the past, we talked about the present. Now let's talk about Forever. And the lights kind of dropped down, and you got the band, the music from Black Panther. The music they do from that. They were there, came out, and it did all that. It was very. If you haven't seen the clips out there, they're out there all over social media of that. Go watch it because it was a very way to do it. Ryan Coogler, his talk about Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa and that kind of stuff. It was very good. Very emotional out there. But Wakanda Forever will go to places we haven't seen yet, which we know we're gonna get Atlantis. We're gonna get Namor. They officially introduced Tana Huerta into the MCU as Namor the Submariner. Michaela Coel, we finally find out who she's going to be in the movie. She is going to be Anika, the one who trains the Dora Milaje. We got clips of the Hazut, the Special Forces Wakandans in the white Black Panther suits. They actually use the Avatar tech to film underwater. So the same technology they use with the new Avatar film, they use that to film this movie as well, since we're going to have that Atlantis tie. There were interesting things here, in the trailer. But I want to talk about the synopsis real quick and the translation. So in the trailer, they showed a tribute to T'Challa, and I've seen two different translation of this. One was "The King lives and the Panther forever in us," and another one I've seen is "The Panther King forever lives in us." So you actually see a nice tribute in the trailer to T'Challa, to Chadwick Boseman. And was that the only? The synopsis of the movie is Queen Ramadana, Angela Bassett, Shiri Letitia Wright, M'Baku Winston Dude, Okoye Donnie Guerrera, and the Dora Milaje, including Florence Kashumba, fight to protect their nation from the intervening world powers in the wake of King T'Challa's death. As the Wakandans strive to embrace their next chapter, the heroes must band together with the help of War Dog Nakia, Lupita Nyong, and Everett Ross, Martin Freeman, and forge a new path for the kingdom of Wakanda. So that's the synopsis of the film. And what do you guys think of the trailer you guys saw?
I really enjoyed it. It has me questioning if the reason why Namor attacks Wakanda is due to the death of T'Challa in the movie. Maybe he thinks they no longer have a Black Panther, so that's why he attacks. But one thing that I think was really interesting was it looks like we're getting a Namor origin story in this movie, because they show the scene where he's like being born almost like underwater, and it feels like we're going to hear about Namor kind of being in the background for a long period of time. So things from like Endgame, like the underwater faults and things like that, that could have been directed towards him. So he might have been far more active than we've been led on to know so far.
I think it for me, I got sort of vibes that his people had been oppressed by the Wakandans, and to the point where they'd almost been forgotten, and nobody even knows about them anymore.
Like
Maybe
branch off.
No, maybe not necessarily. Maybe they were. Maybe they were.
Allies, friends.
Maybe they were allies for a certain time, and then maybe the Atlanteans wanted some vibranium, and they said no, and then they sort of maybe tried to take it by force, and then the Wakandans cut them off, and then they've just been. This was hundreds of years ago, and again, as we just said, Namor probably decided that this was the right time to try and take Wakanda back, or not take it back, but take it, because it didn't have its king. And if there is somebody pulling the strings in the background, and that is someone like Doom, he's obviously manipulating it, and he's probably feeding more information and saying that this is the right time. Yeah, so that's kind of how it looked like to me. I don't know.
See, so in the beginning of the trailer, there was a spot where you saw like these robots and looked like they were on a rig somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, I wonder if that is, because we know that from reports that MIT is going to be involved. That's where Riri gets in the mix. I wonder if some project that she's working on is what causes the problem. Maybe they found vibranium somewhere else in the world, and Wakanda went to get it back, or someone else is trying to get vibranium, like someone tied to Latveria, tied to Doom, is trying to get vibranium for themselves, and that's what sets off the Atlanteans. But also too, we did see that amazing shot of Riri in the cave pounding out the heart, just like we see a throwback there to Iron Man in the first movie when he's in the cave in the desert building Mark 1. But yeah, so let me go here with some chats, things from the chat here. Awesome trailer. Namor looks like I'm not crazy about, but I don't hate it either. I'm really interested to see what they will do to create action early on, because this seems like the type of movie that feels very slow to start with a lot of explosion, then end with a lot of conflicts. That's a good point. That's probably Monty, I bet.
Yes.
The soundtrack, and yes, this is where I hear the soundtrack, the music, the way they did that transition from Bob Marley to Kendrick. Yes, that was great. They've been very good on the trailer music in these trailers, whether it's a Disney Plus show or a movie. They've been very good on these trailers. So that's a good one.
I think with trailers, I think there must be a whole team of people that just design trailers, and I reckon they're all psychologists on basically just how to elicit the right responses to it. Like I was saying earlier about the noise when they introduced the Kang Dynasty thing. Like the music was brilliant, the scenes were brilliant. The way, you know, what was it a little while ago that they were doing like the Transformers music? There was always a big sort of like whom, that sort of noise, you know. But it you know, gave it that deep feeling, didn't it? And I think they must have people just specifically to design trailers.
So a couple of things I noticed there in the trailer too, talking about how things fit in the conflict, and this comment by, I think that's Monty here, about the slow start. I almost seem like maybe could this fit in the trailer? Well, first of all, we saw the winged feet. Namor's going to have them. We saw him as a baby. He had them. But number two, that oil rig type looking thing, it almost seems like Shuri enlisted Riri to help her recover that. Something happened. They set off Atlanteans. They get trapped. Right? Because that's where you see that part of Riri building, looks like her initial Ironheart suit. But then later on, you see a shot, it looks like where Riri and Shuri are back in Wakanda. And almost like that's where she gets them out of that situation. They get back to Wakanda. And that's where they build her new suit. Because in the trailer, Angela Bassett's queen makes a very interesting comment to the United Nations where she said, "I am the queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone. Have I not given everything?" So it almost seems like that's when Shuri goes missing, possibly. And that's between that, because I think everything we saw was probably more earlier on in the film, because you know how they like to deal with the trailers. Usually it's like the beginning of the movie. So I almost wonder if that's what happened. But then we get that amazing shot of the Black Panther call, right? So who's Black Panther, right? You know, is it Shuri? Is it Nakia? Is it Okoye? Is it M'Baku? There's all kinds of rumors floating around how they do the herb, that kind of stuff. Oh, someone Roxy here goes about the Queen's line. Damn, that line broke me. But
Angela Bassett's a great actress.
Yeah,
she's phenomenal.
yeah,
She delivered that brilliantly. It's almost a shame that was in the trailer, because I'd like to have seen that for the first time in the movie.
But who's that Black Panther, right? Is that a Black Panther from early on when we find out what happens to T'Challa and some conflict where he actually gets killed? Or is that the return of the Black Panther by somebody taking the mantle?
I think it's going to be Shuri, and I'm making that just guess because the person in the suit looks kind of slender, and I know she's very slender, so I'm kind of making it on that assumption. That's not a very good assumption, but it kind of looks like it could be her. And it would kind of make sense, I guess, that mantle moving on to her.
Yeah, I think, you know, I know Monty's listening, and I don't want to get stuck into the recast or not recast, because that's it's almost a moot argument now. But I think it probably will be Shuri. I kind of hope it probably will be Shuri, and I hope that at some point she then actually gets to step back down again through some way of, I don't know, bringing in a T'Challa, and maybe not necessarily T'Challa, but the another king of Wakanda somehow. I don't know, that can replace T'Challa.
So you remember our conversation with Monty? I'm still going with the child. Somehow there's a child involved. I said that back then. We had that recast long ago with you and Monty and Jason. I'm still thinking I'm going to stay with my guns. A child's involved somehow.
Yeah,
even though I think
heir to the throne.
Yeah, even though I think it's Nakia in the suit, which it's probably obviously Shuri. I think it's Nakia. But if there's a child, I don't think it's Nakia. But if there's no child, I think it's Nakia.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Maybe there will be a child involved. You know, somebody that had been hiding. Maybe, I don't know. Otherwise, it's going to be years, isn't it? If there is a child, let's say that Nakia's with child now. It's going to be 20 years before we can have a Black Panther.
Well, it depends.
Jumps.
Did she get snapped?
Yeah.
She could have had a child during the snap. Like she could have been with child during Infinity War.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. She could have been, because we didn't see her in Infinity War, did we?
Yeah,
We saw
No,
her in
no, no.
game. We saw her in game
Yeah.
come out of the portal, but we did not see her in
no,
Pen
it
anymore.
wasn't, no, Nick, that wasn't Nakia. That was wasn't
There were
that
three people. There were three
yeah,
people.
but wasn't it? That was Shuri and
I,
Oh, Okoye.
Okoye.
Sorry. Yeah, so we haven't seen Nakia since Black Panther movie. We have not seen her. So she could have been with child somewhere through the snap. That child would be probably younger right now. And you know, they have those Wakanda series coming too on Disney Plus, which one of them could be a young King series to mold into a new Black Panther. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
No, yeah,
Um,
okay, yeah. So I think what you're saying is the kid could potentially be 8.
Yep.
Or
8
7.
to 10.
Yeah.
8 to 10 range right now. A comment here, I think it's probably Monty. I bet it's Shuri. She liked the gold accented suit, but T'Challa didn't. That's a great point. I didn't think about that one. And then the last thing I want to talk about is just the cast here, right? So my wife is Latina descent. You know, she's like the first generation American in her family. Where her dad's from here, but her mom's from Monterrey, Mexico. So, she would have been watching all the Spanish videos of Tenoch Huerta. Just him talking about being Namor, the representation, the grin he has. Like there's a clip you see of him going into the hall and someone's talking in Spanish. Just the grin of ear to ear that he has about this role. I was pumped for this movie, and I was pretty interested in him playing the role. Like I've seen him in Narcos Mexico. I saw him in the Forever Purge, and he was good in those roles. But I'm like really excited now, and my wife's like, "You cannot go see this movie without me." Right? So that makes me even more excited because she's into MCU. She's more casual than I am, but she's like full on pumped to go see this now because of Namor and just how much of the representation that they have in this movie from the other Atlanteans, from Wakandans, you know, just across the board, male, female, etc. And then we'll probably get some more backstory into the Dora Milaje too, because there's probably some things there also that we'll find out with Anika being in this film. So yeah, this is like a very important film for a lot of people because of that representation. Because I believe that Tenoch Huerta is the first major Mexican role in the MCU as well.
I think this whole phase has been it will have been important for a lot of people for all of those reasons that you've just described there. Just just substitute out Mexican for anything else.
Yep.
We've had all sorts of people being represented, and I think that this phase has done a good job of doing that, of bringing it up to speed and bringing it into the modern world.
Mm-hmm.
And Luis is Mexican, isn't he?
Yeah,
He is.
That's pretty major.
Yeah, he's a man here, but he's not a superhero though. So
Yeah. Is he? Maybe.
Yeah, we never know. But then also too, we're gonna get because it looks like Atlanteans are based on the Mayan Aztec culture. We saw Quetzalcoatl in Love and Thunder. It sounds like we're gonna get more the Jaguar god as well. So a lot of more culture we're gonna get in this film. So it'll be interesting to see how they tie that together between the Wakandans and the Atlanteans. And I'm just glad we don't have those big, bulky, funky looking suits that they had in Aquaman as well.
Yeah. And Atuma looks great as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Why does Atuma have like a mask on and Namor doesn't? The blue ones seem to have masks on, like some kind of oxygen. Yeah.
Namori's only half.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he can breathe on land where the others can't. Like Aquaman.
I really hope that they take the giant celestial sitting in the ocean and they link that to part of the disruption between Atlantis and everything that's going on right now. I feel like that had to have impacted them in some way.
Yep.
Too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there's a lot that could have happened there underground, isn't there?
And that could even unearth more vibranium too. That whole process of the partial emergence. So
maybe that's what they were going down to have a look at in that oil rig type tanker thing. Yeah, brilliant. That's about everything, isn't it, Jaron?
Yeah, and I'll just say one more time. I hope we get Doom in the post credits. Hopefully there's people from his country on that rig or involved in that science project or whatever, and that's what he's trying to get his hands on vibranium or something. I'd love to have that be part of the storyline.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think we can wrap that one up there then, can't we? That's a good hour just purely on announcements from San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, one question real quick. I don't think they'll do this. They possibly could. Will they make Namor a mutant as well and tie in the X-Men lore? That's a good question, and hopefully we'll get some kind of answer to that at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? I think that I don't think they need to. I don't think he needs to be a mutant. I think he would quite easily be just carry on. You know, he's an Atlantean. That's it.
And the wings is mutant part.
Yeah.
The wings, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So with them being there, maybe he will be. Right. Oh, RMC said I heard no.
Okay. Yep, I heard no, but nothing confirmed. So
Yeah.
Right. Are we done? We're happy. Brilliant. Lads, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for listening, guys. Another show this week. We are not around next Sunday, but we are going to try and record early next week and come on live for you. So, yeah, have a good one, and we'll see you soon.
bye.
See you guys.
Why don't you tell them about the time we faced
All right. Well, as I remember,
at Avenger headquarters?